Welcome to More Than Mindset, the only podcast that bridges the gap between spirituality and success. Go beyond the mind with clarity and confidence coach Kim Guillory and learn how to integrate your passion to serve with your skills and experience to create a business you love. Let's get started.
Hey there, and welcome back to the More Than Mindset show. I am doing something a little different this week. So we just finished Belief Boot Camp, which was a 5-day virtual retreat experience, and it was amazing. We went through all of the reasons that you believe what you believe right now. Where did that come from? Where do beliefs come from? How are they solidified? So how do we identify them so that we can therefore change them? So if we can understand, we can create transformation. And the Belief Bootcamp went through all of the reasons, taking them down, like we went scuba diving into understanding where this comes from. And what I want to do today on the podcast is share a previous interview that I did with Chancey. She's one of my clients who works with body image and self-love and really creating freedom from food and dieting and self-judgment and all of those things. And I thought it was a perfect time to share that interview. We did this in a Believing Better series that I did a while back with clients who were in Self-Healing Masters, who had come through coach training, just to share their experience on how important their beliefs are and even the possibility that they can be changed. So that's what I'm going to share with you today. I hope you enjoy. Chancey does an amazing job. I'm really excited to it was fun for me to revisit this conversation. So that's what I got. Hi, and welcome back to the Believing Better series. My guest today is Chancey. Chancey is an integrative life coach, and she helps women with emotional overeating and really getting back in relationship with themselves, or for some, actually creating relationship with themselves that they've never had before, right?
Yes. Creating that relationship with their bodies as well. Understanding that. So
about our history together, and then we're going to move into the good stuff that she does and the yumminess that she and I are creating even together as we're, I'll say, synthesizing new embodiment. I feel like it's an active time in real time, and I love partnering with you on it because I feel like it's so, the relationship is so delicious. It's so rich, and I'm seeing such a need for it. But I'm also being drawn to it because I'm feeling the need within myself.
Yeah. Isn't that always the way?
So we're going to talk about so you were already a coach before before you and I started working together. We actually met in a mastermind, and then we started working together afterwards. And one of the things I remember you telling me is I was listening to you talk in the mastermind, and I was looking around the room, and I could see that not everyone was understanding. And you said, and I wasn't quite understanding, but I wanted to know, right? Let's just talk about that.
Yeah, totally. I remember sitting there and everyone was defining their niches, and we were talking about what we do, and you were talking about it, and people's eyes were just a little confused. And I was like, there's something here. I know there is. Energetically, I'm so drawn to this woman. And I need to figure this out. I need to know what she's talking about. So yes, we became friends. And I remember that one time we roomed together and you were explaining things to me again. And I'm like, still don't get it. Still don't quite get it. Right. But again, I knew. And it was about 6 months later, I saw some things you were posting, and my spirit, my heart, I was just ready to receive what you were giving. And it was like, all of a sudden, it was something, it just clicked. And I'm like, I need to work with her. I need to work with her for myself, and I need to work with her for my clients, right? I knew it was next level of where I wanted to go in my own life, just like you were talking about a few minutes ago. And then as well with my clients, and got on the phone. I'm like, I understand what you're talking about. Let's do this.
You did. You said exactly that. You said, I get it. I get it. I didn't get it, but it's like, and the languaging even changed. You were like, I'm speaking a different language. And it's like, I got the goosebumps just going through my body because it's so fascinating how we can feel something and we can know something and then intellectually have no flippant idea what the heck that is, but yet be so drawn to it. Right. And I feel like that's a lot of what our clients do, you know, with this, because we are teaching embodiment, and embodiment is something you have to experience to know what it is. And so we're having to use this bridge language in order to explain it. And I think that's really why I wanted to talk on that, because like I was so sure everybody wants this, everybody needs this. And yet I'm sitting in a room like, why am I saying this 100 times in 100 different ways? And it's still not being received. And whenever when you said like, I think I got it. Like you were like, I didn't know what it was, but I knew I wanted it.
Yeah.
And then I received it. And that just gave I just felt the chills run through. And I'm curious, when you're first started, because you came in the middle, like kind of like in this relationship change up, relationship with yourself, relationship, a 5-year long-term relationship that you had been dabbling in and out of trying to figure out, you know, even before. And you so courageously said yes to whatever it looked like. And it's, you know, it's so admirable, you know, when someone says, yes, I'm all in and I have no idea. And tell me how that, or tell the audience how that felt, that not knowing and saying yes.
It's so beautiful, actually, because it felt like I want to feel all the time now. It felt brave. It felt scary. It felt next level, right? Where I'm like, this is truly following my heart. This is actually following my essence, which I'm yet to really move forward and discover while working together, right? So it was like the beginning. It was like a taste of what was to come. Does that make sense, Kim? Yeah. And then through working together, so much of my work now and how I'm living my life, like the big BS stuff that I had to change, all my belief systems, it all came together with that. So much trust in life, right? So much willingness to be surprised instead of trying to control every little aspect and think that, you know, we had two paths, the right one or the wrong one. And I was like, always so intense about that. So even going in and saying yes and starting to coach together and starting to understand, you know, the punchline approach and understand bringing yourself back home to yourself. Like even that was, I don't know. It's just completely blown my mind. It's changed everything for me, and being willing to be surprised in that.
Yeah. I'm curious if you returned to something that you had engaged with at a younger age, if you returned to something, or if you actually returned to it, or like came to it for the first time. Like whenever you got there, because I remember it for myself, like, I'm home, but I had never been there before.
Right. I was always searching. I mean, I grew up in a very like religious home, right? Full of fear, full of like the church that I went to. It was, if you stepped out of line, you were going to hell instantly. I lived in so just heaviness all of the time. And then for me, what really happened is I went away to Bible college after school to be a missionary. And during that time, my best guy friend who I really trusted, he date raped me. And that at that moment, my entire world and my entire belief system and my entire trust in God, in the universe, in life just came crumbling down. And I went to my pastor at the time and asked him, you know, for counsel. And he had me pray for forgiveness for putting this man in this tempting position. And at the time, like now I look at it and I'm like, wow, like that is so sad. And I have total forgiveness for him. Like I'm not holding on to that at all. But what I see is he was just buying again into this belief system that's so messed up. And for me, it was again, right way or wrong way. I went off the path. I snuck out with this boy after hours and look what happened. I did the wrong thing. Right. So that was when I was 18 and I'm 42 now. So for like 20 years, over 20 years now, I have felt that it's like this intense fear that if I step out of line, something terrible is going to happen. And I can't trust myself. I can't trust my body. I can't trust anything. Right. And I gained a lot of weight out of this anxiety and fear and not trusting my body, always feeling like, yeah, it's like walking on the eggshells of life. Right. Like that's how I lived. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the whole perception of relationship, right? So how do you think of sensuality and sexuality and partnership and intimacy, all of this stuff from that kind of perspective? And that is so prominent still today. I still think that there's a lot of that happening. I hope we're on the brink of opening up something new, and really helping people come back to their bodies. But, Chancy, how was it like even trying to come back to your body when it wasn't safe in your body?
It was impossible. I didn't know how. I did not know how, even talking about that. Like I studied as a nutritionist around the same time I studied as a life coach, trying to figure all of this out. But for me, with my body, like even just with food, the reason I love working with women who find themselves in the emotional eating, to distract or just to buffer, right? To feel better. And even that, like I would read books and I would even tell people, trust your body. And then I'm like, I am so disconnected from her. It's like I had this relationship with my body. It's interesting. I love to think of her as a she or as a her. She's like my animal who I absolutely adore. And I just get to ride life with now. I think it's so fun. I love that. But before it's like she was like this animal that needed to be caged. She was so wild and what she was capable of and even tempting a man to do something like that. Right. And like all of this, I'm like, she is not okay. I did not feel at home. So this work that we've done together, this integrative approach of bringing me truly like the emotional processing of it and actually going into and feeling my feelings for the first time. I did not realize that that's what I was doing. I was constantly trying to think my way to feel better. It's like I was afraid because I couldn't trust myself in my body. So then when the work we did where I could go in and like feel safe and actually it was a place to come home to be able to rest. That's when, throughout the 6 months, I truly started to embody and embody sensuality and embody purity, right? Thinking like, no, I'm not damaged. I'm not tarnished. I am a beautiful human being like all the rest of us who are having a lot of human experiences. And when we can approach it from that place of like, nothing's gone wrong. I'm willing to be surprised. And with curiosity instead of fear, it's like, I feel it in my body right now. I'm talking about it. I'm like, this is just so good.
I have the chills. Because we are sexual beings. We are soul beings.
Yeah.
We are emotional beings. And those three things have been shut off from us. We have not had access to, like we've been taught to fear those emotions, to turn them off, to shut them away. We've been taught that sexuality is wrong, that sensuality and pleasure is wrong and bad. And so we've put that away. And so we just became these intellectual, mental beings. Yes. And then the coaching, all on mindset is just like shutting all that stuff off. And why do you think that way? And change your thoughts and move on and go again back in the doing.
Yeah.
The beauty and the joy and the magic is in the being.
Yeah.
The doing.
Yeah.
Being.
Exactly, Kim. Oh, yes. It's the best. Right. And then when we can move forward in just feeling the sense of like awe in being so human. I love that. Right. It's like the innocence of humanity and being able to like, I think about it. You and I talk a lot about just like the playfulness of it, like we're on here for pleasure and to play and to giggle. Like I love that part of it too, right? Like we're here just to feel it all, including the hard stuff, including that because there's so much beauty in that as well. And we can bring it all in and just have this full human experience with tons of compassion for ourselves as humans, I think that is divine. Like that is when we really reach that, when we really feel that. Yeah.
And another thing is like not feeling like when you're in the mud and the muck of it, like that's the bad thing that has to pass in order to attain the good thing. Like,
yes.
No, it's actually part of the thing. Like it is the thing. Yeah. Like there's no separation between the two. It's all in the experience, of when I first started this Believing Better series just kind of came to fruition kind of like all at the end of this year. But a year or two ago, I wanted to do a series that was demystifying humanity. In other words, all of the things that the human is that we've been told not to be, I wanted to like look under the rug and bring it all forward, because it's like divorce is wrong. And, it's like there was just suicide is wrong. And this is everything is so wrong. Or it's like, it actually just is. It's a decision that people make. It's a decision that humans make. It's an experience we have. If we drop the judgment in comparison, then what? And the brain just, well, I don't know. I mean, what everybody told me, that's surely the truth. That's how it's supposed to be. And we're like, can we be sure about that? Let's question it,
Let's question it.
Even, looking back, and I find a lot of us does have a spiritual background. Like we do have this connection from a young age, not coincidentally that a lot of us have the same designs in common. And, really what we're learning about ourself and our actual soul imprint, and finding each other as we are bringing this movement, this mind-body movement forward, and bringing it out that we've all found each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I was drawn to you instantly. I remember with the mastermind, we had the videos of introduction we had to do. And I was like, I want to know her. And then we got to
one, right?
Yeah. You're like, totally it was. And I was like, this is amazing. It's amazing. And then working with you. Yeah. And it's really beautiful because what I've always wanted to do is help women stop emotional eating, help women love their bodies. Right. And
so hard. Why is it
it's so hard because of all the BS that we've been talking about. Pleasure's not okay. Trusting yourself's not okay. Right. All of these things. And it's so hard because we're living in a society. They teach you to disconnect even further from your body. Right. So the work that you and I have done, I lost 20 pounds. I don't know if I told you that. I lost 20 pounds as you and I have been we're working together. And it was because I started to, again, feel safe in my body, trust her, more pleasure, forgiveness, like ease, my nervous system calmed down. And all of a sudden I'm like, I just felt better in my body. I connected with her. I started eating foods that she desired, right? For pleasure and for nourishment, and deprivation just went completely out the door. It all came about more pleasure, more of it all. And my body completely responded. Even though I was, nutritionist for 12 years, life coach, done all so much, for the last 5 years, completely out of war with her, and now coming home. And this is why I so badly want this for other women, to wake up and feel sensual, to wake up and be like, how am I going to feel the best ever today? How am I going to feel pleasure today? How am I going to take care of myself and my beautiful body? What do I want to eat for breakfast? What will be the most pleasurable? And when we can move forward in life that way, truly embodied, I think that's ultimate freedom. That is the ultimate.
Yeah, I'm thinking of what we do now with pleasure as we hide it, right? Like we're thinking sexual and overeating and all of those things. I'm so ashamed about it that we hide. Like, let's go hide I have a friend that she's hides in the bathroom to eat ice cream so her kids won't see her. But I'm like, you literally hide the good stuff, hide the pleasurable stuff as if it's bad, it's wrong. And so it's almost like we're given a permission slip. A permission.
Exactly. One of my clients said that. She wrote me a testimonial. She goes, I feel like I'm on the no deprivation, no restriction plan, and I've lost 14 pounds, whatever that is in kilos, she said. She's from Australia. I don't know. I don't know what, we're Canadian. You're American. I have no idea what measurements are, but whatever. She lost weight. And I'm like, heck yeah. When you give yourself permission then there's no resistance. And then with that permission, you can have like, one of my favorite things is getting like the very best chocolate and just enjoying, it's so good. Like one truly satisfies when you dive into it instead of like, oh, I'm having this, but I'm feeling guilty and this sinful indulgence or this guilty pleasure. Take all that crap, all of that labeling away from it and just get into, no, this is pleasure. It's not guilty pleasure. It's not a sinful indulgence, right? Like, even if you look at the language we use around that, right, no wonder women are walking around feeling completely disconnected from their bodies, like addicted to sugar, right? Addicted to diets, addicted to self-hatred. Like, we become addicted to that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And we think that's the only way, right? And it's so not. And it's like, I want to unlock this key for everyone. My dog is drinking heavily back there. I'm not sure if you can hear her, but she's going to down. She's really enjoying it.
I'm thinking of, say like enjoy the cheesecake or like enjoy the whatever, to be, and the way I experience the word enjoy means to be actually in the joy. That's what enjoyment is. Be in the joy of, which is a massive amount of happiness and pleasure. Mm-hmm. And so when we say like, why don't you just enjoy it? Life's short, just go and enjoy it. But then in the back of the mind, it's like, we shouldn't be. And so we're not actually present with it. And we're not actually in the joy of it because we're in the BS. We're in that belief system that we shouldn't be. And I'm like, listen, dude, if you're going to do it all the way.
Man, have you ever told me that in the last 6 months?
Like, I'm actually not the priest, and you do not need to come with confessions, and you don't even need to do that for yourself. You just need to be in the full experience of what you're in.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the difference. When you go and you're like, you know what? I want cheesecake. Do I really want cheesecake? Right? I'm having a craving for this. The first step is to go into your body. What is your body actually needing? Is it cheesecake? Is there something else going on? Is there a different pleasure that your body is like longing for that you're not giving it? So then instantly your brain's like, ooh, fat and sugar, right? All the things. And then if you decide, you're like, actually, I just really do want this cheesecake, right? Like last night I had the most amazing lemon cheesecake with this berry coulis. It was so good, so good. And then I ordered the chocolate mousse after because I really, really wanted the chocolate mousse. It wasn't a craving. It wasn't this urge. It was, total desire. I had 2 bites of the chocolate mousse. I felt completely satisfied and I didn't eat the rest. Right. But it's like that permission. Mm-hmm. So I say, if you are having a craving, check in. Your cravings tell you what your body's really looking for, what your brain really is desiring, what's actually going on. Full body scan, right? Yeah. Full body. And then if you really want the cheesecake, source out the best cheesecake. Do not sell yourself short on this because you are worth the best. Get that and then focus. Like you said, be in the joy of eating it. Every single bite savor. And if you get to a point where you're like, this actually isn't enjoyable to me anymore, right? This isn't actually joy food. Put it in the fridge and have it later. All of that is permission. Your brain doesn't go, but this, but that, but deprivation, but this is going to be my last cheesecake ever because tomorrow I'm going to start again. Right. Like getting rid of all that crap. And then what you find, you enjoy more. You end up eating less because you're not depriving yourself, right? You're not saying, no, I'm not going to have that. So then you eat like 20,000 things of whatever your brain at the time or your diet says is healthy, trying to make up for that.
Bags of popcorn because there's no points or it's less points or like how much of that can I have? And what we're looking for is satisfaction.
What we're looking for is satisfaction.
Satisfied in our life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Satisfied every single day. And then food is just another part of it. It's not the main way you're getting pleasure. That's the big thing a lot of people think, right? I'm not saying, just with free abandon, go eat everything. Right. Because that's not pleasure. That truly isn't. So that's where the coaching comes in. Teaching women how to know themselves again, developing that relationship with their bodies, right? Embodying it, knowing exactly what they feel, what they really need, bringing them home to themselves so they actually can go, what are you needing, body? no, it's actually not those cookies, or is it? Right? But unless you teach someone that, we don't know how to do that because we're disconnected and we've been taught to be.
Yeah. And that was
programmed.
Take me to my next question is, so we're saying this and it sounds so easy, but you even said it yourself, like, but I didn't know how. I couldn't get in there. I didn't like, so what I call, it's kind of like when we have these positive memes all over Facebook, but we don't know what any of them, we don't really know what they mean. We haven't embodied or we haven't integrated in our life. We just intellectually know it. And we see so much of this in the mindset world. It's like all intellect. It's like being the Christian who just mouths off the scriptures and then has no relationship with Jesus or with God or with Christ at all. They're just like, they have memorized intellectually all of the scriptures, all of the kneeling, the bowing, the praying, the inner, like all of that beautiful stuff. Yeah. And then they don't have a rich relationship. Yeah. And it's kind of like that. So to the person who's listening, who they're like, I mean, I want to quit eating trash food. I want to quit binging. I want to quit, going to the store and buying a whole bunch of junk because I didn't, they didn't recognize before that what they were looking for was satisfaction. Like, where would you tell them to start? It's like, because they don't know they're lacking access until you get it, right? Now because you've granted it. When you came to me and you said, I want to do what you're doing. I want to take my clients deeper. I want them to bring the deep stuff. Like it's like you were like in for it. We're some death doulas. That's why we were in black, right? It's like, bring me the deep, dark clients, like, right? And I said, I can do it, Chancey, but we'll have to take you through the process. It's an experiential process. And that's not easy for the intellect to understand, but I'm going to ask that you maybe share it in your own words, what that means, or how do you see that now?
I really think going back to the punchline approach, Kim, like it comes back to that, right? Presence, actually teaching people how to be present, how to tune in, right? How to go, the very first thing I love to do when I'm working with a client is like, we are now going to refer to your body as your animal. We're going to refer to her as a she or a her. And you're going to create a relationship with her through presence and awareness. And then I'll take them into their body. We teach them actually how to feel their emotions. Teach them at that moment when they're having a craving, stop and go in. And to actually help them feel safe to do so. That's the big thing, right? Because we have this brain who's on high alert. And as soon as you say no, she's like, shit, you're going to be depriving me again. Here's the next diet for 2 weeks that we're going to fall off of and gain You
better blow it all away. You better really get the best out of it because that's
right? So it's like, okay, building that relationship, teaching your body that she can trust you and you can trust her. And then that awareness, right? And then from there, we start navigating new behaviors. We start navigating new belief systems. We start showing her that pleasure is safe, that she is safe. She is loved. And it really is. It's like this beautiful, it's almost like marriage coaching, right? It's relationship coaching, but you're coaching with that relationship with your own self, with your own body.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I mean, whoever told us that a relationship with ourselves was important.
Right? Yeah. Or we get a lot relationship with your brain, right? The thought, just the mind management. I'm totally about that, obviously. Yeah. But we miss that really important step that we are here in a human body to have a relationship with this body. What more of an important relationship could you have? I don't know if I said that sentence right, but I think you know what I mean, right? That one with yourself, who's carrying you through this one precious life that we have as we know it, right? So I just, I love it. When I have a client who writes me and she's like, oh, I bought, matching bra and underwear set today. And she's so excited. And, we start celebrating her. And that again brings more awareness and then more relaxation. And then she's able to trust herself more. When this happens, if you're wanting weight loss, right? If you're wanting whatever with your body, you start to get those results. It just starts to happen because you're taking care of her the way she's meant to. It's not like this, you against her. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I was just about to ask is, the dieting industry, and especially where we came from, really like ignoring, turning off, go get somewhere else, go down in the cellar, go get some grab ass, it's like completely shut off your body's language. Don't worry about that. Let it go. It's like just completely ignore and come to this. It's almost like this bypassing with food kind of thing, or about our body. Like your body doesn't know what it wants and you can't listen to it and you can't trust it. And so you just need to turn it off and just white knuckle, go do this. But it sounds like it's anti-white knuckling. But there's
it totally is.
People who are like really overcoming the PTSD of the intermittent fasting and the longer and then go even longer and then go even longer. And, like completely turning off nutrition and pleasure and enjoyment of food that nourishes us. It's sacred.
It is. It's soul food as well. And I think it's so important that we understand that. It's so important that we understand that food is actually here as a gift to us. And it's precious. And when we approach it as such, we're not going to go and eat out the entire buffet. When you can switch it to go, yes, I'm going to connect in more instead of disconnect, instead of just, writing my protocol on Monday for the entire week. And if on Friday, I don't want what I wrote down, too bad. You're going to have it because this is what you did and you're going to stay true to yourself. That's actually not staying true to yourself.
No, because you're not answering yourself. You're not responding to yourself because do you think it's like the way I saw it is it's like we can't trust ourselves to not overdo or not to, so we just turn it completely off. So it's like, you can't trust yourself not to have it, not to eat it, not to do it. And so you train yourself to it not being important at all. But then you're also saying your needs are not important. Your desires are not important. And it's all because you can't really trust yourself. So it's the all or none, black and white approach rather than how about we build the trusting relationship?
Yeah. And trusting yourself is not going, okay, I have a craving, so I'm going to have it. Trusting yourself is that you're going to go in and figure out why, what is actually going on for you, right? Trusting yourself is that you have your own back. It's not saying, okay, if I wrote down that I'm going to have a salad with salmon on Friday and then all of a sudden I want something else to just go, oh yeah, I want a Kit Kat chocolate bar because that's what my body's asking for. When you're trusting yourself, that's not what your body asks for. It's trusting and not fearing also that primitive brain part of us thinking that she's unruly and out of control, right? No, this part of us is so ancient. She truly does know what we need, right?
Simultaneously building the relationship with yourself, with food, with sacred soul essence, with satisfaction and that permission to trust.
Yeah. Permission to trust.
And not beat your own ass.
Yeah. And not think that something is wrong or broken with you because it never was. Nothing has ever been wrong. Nothing has ever been broken. It's the system we're in that is wrong and broken. Right. So when we learn how to go break our brains free from the BS that we're taught to be able to think differently, to be able to feel differently, to be able to integrate all of that and then approach life that way, it's not just food, Kim. It's everything shifts. Everything shifts.
Even in dressing ourselves, we're focused, just like with food, right? It's like the low-cal, the dense, the thing we're not going to put the weight on. We look in the closet and we're looking for the thing that's going to hide us and the thing that's going to celebrate us. That's going to, it's such a different mindset shift. Like, oh, let's buy this because you won't be able to see this part of me.
Yeah. Let's suck this in or should have this longer, whatever. Yes.
Got that part of our body up, hide it the same way we were with the appetite and with the desire and all the way across. So what about that person it's like they're trying, they really want to love and accept themselves and they really want to eat for nourishment and satisfaction and pleasure. And yet they're like, they can't get over the way they feel about their body. Like they can't get over that it's gross or that it's out of proportion or that it's bad or wrong or ridiculed for how it is, right? Don't you think that's such a big part of healing the relationship with the body?
Oh, it totally is. And it's going back and looking at, I love to do little timeline things with my clients where we look back at moments, like the very first moment for example, for me, my very first moments was I was sitting on the playground when I was in grade 4 and I realized my thighs touched and the other girls didn't. And I was like, whoa, right? I started recognizing like perfect way, even at that young age. And I wasn't that, and then at Thanksgiving, I remember all my family, all the women, we ate dinner, all the men went down to watch TV, all the women cleaned, but before we cleaned, went to the bathroom and weighed ourselves. How much weight did we gain for Thanksgiving dinner? Right? Like, oh my gosh. So these are these little moments in our lives that we get to look back and go, oh, with curiosity and tons of compassion, this created this, that created this. And we start to look for patterns of lies that we've picked up along the way. Right. So I think it's important to look at that and not to dwell in it, but go, oh, now I have a choice. Is this actually how I want to think about this? Is this actually how I want to feel about my body? Right. And then it is at the same time going and healing that part through feeling those emotions, through grieving, right? Like grieving my innocence as a 10-year-old girl and looking at that and not liking my own body. Right? Being able to feel those moments and go back and like, I almost like to say, take my little self in my hands. Right? And like, of course you've struggled. Of course you this and this and this. This is what's went on. You don't have to feel this way again. You don't have to buy into this anymore. I've got us. Right? That's having your own back, being able to do that for yourself. And it might sound, as I'm talking about it to someone who's thick in the diet world right now or thick in hating her body and can't even bear to look at herself in the mirror, never mind love herself in the mirror, right? But just knowing again, when we look at like what we talk about in the integrated coaching, it's like the presence of it, even going, what if this is possible for me? The awareness, like, okay, this woman I'm listening to who I don't really know it, who I don't know at all, she's saying it's possible. It's possible for her. I'm going to trust that perhaps it is for me, and then start to look like that awareness of like, right, I remember the first time I didn't like this, or right, I remember that. And then going back and starting to just believe that it's possible, right? Even that can make huge shifts in your life.
Yeah. Recently, I was looking at I have 2 baby granddaughters right now that are right or a year old. And so they're having pictures, standing up in their little swimsuits or their whatever. And, right at the thigh area, there's that little roll, the part you're talking about where your legs touch together. It's so cute. Like, I'm like, oh, like I would never criticize them or tell them something negative about their body. Right. Right. It's so chunky and precious and, all of that. And this is crazy, but like I was walking across from my business, from my home to here, and I have that little roll right there. And I was like, that is not cute. Like, wait a minute. And I was like, fascinating. Yeah. Fascinating. That if I came from that kind of love for myself, is that what I would have just told myself? Right. Is that what I would have just said? And it's that unveiling, it's like really unpacking so that we can understand where it comes from. Because when I was able to relate it to someone that I loved and adored and would have protected, just done anything for, like, how can we bring that in? I was like, as long as I've been doing this work, I'm still blown away at the self-hatred and the self-criticism and the disconnection from it's not good enough. It's not like I'm defected, I'm deformed. It's something that can be ridiculed and it could have come from someone laughing at us at a young age. I could have, and it could have come from exactly what you experienced also, which was the judging and the comparing. Yeah. And we don't have to go down into the cellar of all those stories. They will bubble up in ideal time. We don't have to go digging up bones. It will arise for us. Yeah. And that's, exactly. And at the same time, as it arises for us, we don't need to make it our story. We don't need to roll around in it. Right. It's like awareness, like the unveiling. Oh yeah. Okay. And then instantly bring us to now. How do I want to think about that now? How do I want to heal that now? Right. And from that,
like being able to navigate ourselves back
and feeling it all now. And you can grieve for that time, for that little girl who noticed that or whatever. But it's like, that is the unveiling. That is like feeling what you didn't feel then.
Yeah.
So you can have the freedom in it presently now. We don't want to stay stuck in the past. But yes, it is so much freedom. One of my clients, she wrote to me, she's like, it tastes like freedom, she said, right? This is a woman who has like binge ate her whole life and just struggles so much with negative body image. And she's loving her body so much just as it is, and not just as it is. You know what I mean? That almost sounded like negative, not at all meaning to. Loving her body exactly where it is. And she's starting to lose weight. And she's like, I have never experienced this freedom before. Yes. So when she said it tastes like freedom, she told a friend that because she ordered something and her friend was like, oh, usually we get this. She's like, you know what? This is actually what my body wants. And she's like, and her friend said, how does that feel? This tastes like freedom. And I think about that all the time. And I'm naming a program. It tastes like freedom. Like that is my coaching program's name, because I want every woman to know what it feels like to live in freedom.
So good.
Yeah. Isn't it? I know.
It is. I'm looking at the time. I want to just hang out. You know, we love to out and really hash into all of this. We've got some great things coming for you guys in 2021. We're going to be doing a lot of radical self-love and self-acceptance and part of that. And I'm on my own journey with that. You know, I think it's something that I do. I was saying this morning. I do not know one person that does not have a body image issue. I do not know one person who is in love with every aspect of their body, that there's not something that they don't criticize or feel like they have to deprive in order to be something that they're not. And I was like, it's time. And you know what? If no one else gets anything out of it, I am on this journey and I am committed to it, you know, and, you know, it's like, I know that the right people are going to show up and want this too. So I want to thank you for stepping on the path, for saying yes, for going all the way through, for dropping any agenda and being willing to be surprised to experience something you didn't even know was possible, because that is what we're offering others. You know, and that's what
so much
you're offering others.
Aw, you're amazing. It has just been so beautiful becoming your friend and then employing you as my coach.
And Self-Healing Masters is where we are hashing this out, guys. If you need personal one-on-one coaching, we'll have Chancey's information down below. And if you want a community to get started in, to introduce it, then you can come into Self-Healing Masters. It's like, you'll have the links for all of this, but really do what you need for yourself, because there is such a big difference between depriving compared to permission.
Oh yeah. All the difference. Thank you so much, Kim, for having me on. I've loved this.
Thanks for listening to this episode of More Than Mindset.